Hello there, I'm Gloria Macarenko. Well, today's program just might help you rediscover something in our city or in your home. This is Our Vancouver. Coming up, healthy party food heading into our big eating season. And what's with all the whale sightings recently, so close to the city? But first, finding new purpose and joy in old jewels. Now, we all have those pieces of jewelry hidden away that we no longer wear for whatever reason. Maybe it's a ring that doesn't fit, or earrings that are not really your style any longer. Maybe a bracelet that maybe you never really liked it in the first place. Now, some of those pieces may be family heirlooms that we keep around for sentimental reasons. Well, a local jewelry designer has had more requests to repurpose those items since the pandemic hit. Chi Cheng Lee is in West Vancouver. Chi, hello there.
Hi, Gloria. How are you?
So what have you seen? How much has your business in redesign increased since COVID hit?
Oh, it's increased quite a bit, almost doubled, because it just keeps me really busy in my studio. Um, People just want to get new pieces done from their old pieces.
Yeah, we've all got a lot more time to go through our
Yes.
drawers and our closets and that type of thing. But what kinds of stories are you hearing? Why are people deciding to do this now?
Well, they definitely, like you say, they have more time to think about what they want in life, and you kind of, refocus on your life again and your family, especially, and people that you care about. So they look at these older pieces, some as heirlooms that has been passed down to them by their grandmas or mother or aunts, but they really don't like them. It's not their style, or it's just so dated. It's pieces that they will never wear, or it doesn't fit, like you say. So this way, they would often come to me if they really like my design and my style, and I help them to give them all a new life so they could enjoy it themselves or pass it on to other family members as well.
What a lovely idea. Now, you know what's catching my eye as I'm watching you talk there is that beautiful piece around your neck. What's the story behind your necklace?
Yeah, this is part of my Sea to Sky collection. These are all one of a kind pieces, and the stone is called dendritic opal. I fell in love with the stone quite a few years ago, because my dad was a Chinese watercolor painter, and it reminded me of his paintings. But when I brought the collection of stones home to West Vancouver, I realized, living on the North Shore, these are the scenery that I see all along the Sea to Sky Highway, especially on rainy days and cloudy days, or like this one I call the Cypress Bowl. So it's like the snow-capped mountains that we see all the time.
And do you have kind of a signature style? Like you're saying, people come to you and like what you do?
Yeah, I'm I would say my signature style is more kind of contemporary, and um, it's not too fussy. I always like to have things that it's more elegant and sustainable, that you could is timeless. So I also have a collection of the stacking rings, which a lot of people do enjoy. It's like these pieces, and they could put multiple rings together and be quite unique and play with their jewelry.
Now, what I'd really like to hear is, imagine I bring in a piece that I inherited from my mother or my aunt,
Yes.
and maybe it's in an antique setting or something. What kinds of conversations do you have with people in terms of making it a little bit more modern or a little bit more contemporary, so someone would be, able to wear it more on a more regular basis?
Yeah, so we would start with looking at a lot of my pieces and my designs already, and they often come in with a few pieces that they do like, and then they show me what they have. So that way we could kind of work from there. The designs will start like these are some of the repurposed pieces I've done before. Like this is the before,
Mm.
and then this is the progress, what I've kind of come up with, and this is the final multiple stacking ring pieces. So here's another one, because often people have something like that that's left from this is her mom's rings. And then I redesigned them to something like that. So it really looks very different, and it's very wearable, and they could wear all different ways. It's anytime they want.
Now, what about in investment purposes here? I mean, we've got jewelry. Yes, the stones may be valuable. The gold itself may
Right.
be valuable. Does it pay to, keep these items beyond sentimental value?
Oh, definitely, because the value of diamonds or stones has gone up a lot. Even gold has gone up a lot in the last, many years. So a lot of the stones that they bring to me, a lot of stones, that single ones, they are often a pretty good quality, but because they were old mined and old cuts, so this way you could update them and then still keep the stones. Because when you do scrap them or you sell them, it's not worth when you buy. It's not worth as much as when you buy them. So this way you keep the value and also keep it within the family. I have also one story is one grandmother. She has three granddaughters are all born in November, and she's also born in November. So she has a whole bunch of citrine stone jewelry that's pretty dated. So she came in and we did multiple stacking rings, and we had each of the granddaughters' name engraved in the rings so she could pass it on when she passed.
Oh, what a lovely idea. Now, Chi,
Yes.
how did you get into this in the first place?
It's quite funny because when I do shows like in Circle Craft, Christmas market and stuff, and I often show my collection, my jewelry, my ring, and people say, "Oh, I don't need more jewelry. I have so much rings that I don't wear, just sitting in the safe or in the drawer." Well, then finally I come up with the responses like, "Let me help you with that. You could supply your own stones." And they just stop them at the track, and people often, "Oh, that's a great idea." So this way, it just kind of evolves that way, and it's also a lot of nice stories I get being part of. One of the first ones is a young lady that she collects my jewelry anyway, but she has a single stud earring that her friend had given her, but her friend had passed. But she'd want to do something with that diamond, so we set it into one of the stacking rings, so that way she could keep that in mind and wear it all the time, and just remember her friend.
Wow, giving new life to some of these treasured pieces. Chi, I'm
Yes,
glad that something about the pandemic and what we're living is working out for you. So nice to
thank
meet you
you.
today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Hi, this is Benji at Vancouver Studio Glass, and this is Art Vancouver.
All right, it's time for one of our favorite features. This is where we get to showcase a number of the photographs sent in by you, our audience. First up, Sharon Cager takes us to Coquitlam and a walk to Mundy Lake in the middle of Mundy Park. What a lovely day, Sharon. Thanks for sharing. And the golden light at sunset is giving Science World a special glow in this image. Thank you, Gabby Law, for sharing that moment with us. And finally, Diego Rebello heard there was a geomagnetic storm brewing and headed out late at night to capture a very rare view for us here, Aurora Borealis from the shores of Spanish Banks. Just an amazing image, Diego. Thank you. And keep them coming. You can email your favorite photographs to us at bcphotos@cbc.ca. That's bcphotos@cbc.ca. Well, the night sky hasn't been the only place to see the rare and wonderful things around us. There's been an increase in whale sightings recently. A pair of killer whales was spotted swimming close to the seaplane dock at Vancouver's Cole Harbour this past weekend. Janella Hamilton finds out why there's a spike in whale activity so close to the city's shoreline.
Now we're having more and more interactions as we get to watch these wildlife spectacles happening right before our own eyes.
Andrew Treitz is the director at UBC's Marine Mammal Research Unit. He says he's hearing more and more about sightings of orcas, humpback whales, white dolphins, and gray whales surfacing close to BC's shorelines.
We're seeing a return to a balanced ecosystem unlike anything that I knew in my lifetime, and perhaps for the first time in centuries.
Trite says one reason why we may be seeing the return of rare whales to the Salish Sea is because of tighter restrictions on seal and fish hunting. That means more available food for marine mammals.
Now we're finding the killer whales are coming into these spots. Some are near like Cole Harbor, maybe near the seaplanes, maybe near the ferries, spots where the seals have moved to and have been hiding out. So literally now we're seeing the entire Salish Sea has become one big hunting ground.
Last month, 2 humpback whales were spotted in Horseshoe Bay in West Vancouver, and last week a beluga was seen swimming around Puget Sound in Washington state. Before today, the last known sighting of a beluga in Puget Sound was in 1940.
It's come here from the Arctic, from Alaska, but it's really strange because they're not supposed to be here.
Trite says it would have taken the beluga at least a couple of months to travel hundreds of miles outside its usual range, and chances are if it doesn't find its way back to Alaskan waters, it most likely won't survive. The most recent whale sighting in Vancouver was on Saturday at Cole Harbor. Robert Johnson says he was tying up seaplanes when he saw 2 big black creatures by the dock.
They breached the surface and it was just amazing. They're huge.
Johnson describes the encounter with the 2 killer whales as a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It's surreal to see that kind of amazing majesty. That was the largest creature I've ever seen in my life.
Trite says killer whales are not threatened, but they are protected species because there are very few of them around the Lower Mainland.
I've seen them in the water, like out on boats and things like that, and it's just spectacular.
An animal that's so beautiful and so strong. Their life is so interesting. I just think it's magical if you saw him.
Trite says if you do come into close encounter with whales or any other marine mammal, it's important to allow them their space. Johnson says he wasn't scared, he was more so in awe, and now has a greater appreciation for species that live under the surface. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Janella, thank you so much for that story. Now, COVID-19 has been tough for all businesses, but some have been hit harder than others. There's growing concern that Canada's Indigenous tourism operators won't be able to bounce back as quickly as their peers. Renee Filipponi reports.
What you're seeing above that particular opening, right above it, is the mat.
At the Inkamik Desert Cultural Center, Derek Bryson shares his band's history with visitors, who have been few and far between during the pandemic.
Without the visitors coming, we're very stale. We're not doing much. We're losing out on revenue. We're losing out on sharing a piece of ourselves with everyone else.
He and others in the Indigenous tourism industry could be feeling that loss for quite a while.
The unpredictability surrounding this is very, very real. It's a fearful fear.
A recent report from the Conference Board of Canada says Indigenous tourism operations are not expected to return to pre-pandemic levels until 2028, nearly 5 years later than the overall tourism industry.
We have businesses that are selling assets right now just to pay the bills.
This Indigenous tourism representative says some businesses won't survive. Others won't recover until foreign travel returns to normal.
Some of the more rural, remote, northern experiences, really 90 to 95% of their business was international.
Yeah, we replaced all these. Yeah. They're all new. Beautiful.
Esqueo Air's owner, Tira Fraser, says like all airlines, hers took a hit from COVID.
We had a whole season booked, lots of work uplifting and supporting Indigenous tourism. To have it disappear literally almost overnight.
The launch of Esqueo Air 2 years ago marked the first female-founded Indigenous airline. Fraser saw the business as a way to connect remote communities. She says in order to thrive, the entire Indigenous industry needs more support.
Indigenous peoples and businesses, they uplift their families, they uplift their communities, and that social, ecological impact, economic impact is shared.
Something she says is key at a time when there is a push for reconciliation. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Coming up, Johanna Wagstaffe answers an audience question about carbon dating and how it's used by scientists.
know how old something really old is? A great question from Twitter. Specifically, how does carbon dating work? Well, the basis of radiocarbon dating is fairly simple, but you got to stick with me on this one. All living things are made of carbon. Plants absorb CO2, which is in turn eaten by animals, etc., etc. But there's more than one kind of carbon. Most have 6 protons and 6 neutrons, so it's known as carbon-12. Sometimes nitrogen atoms high up in the atmosphere get hit by cosmic rays, creating a carbon with 6 protons and 8 neutrons, carbon-14. By the way, millions of cosmic rays enter the atmosphere every day, colliding with a bunch of our atoms, so it's a thing. And we have both of these kinds of carbons, 12 and 14, inside all of us. So here's where it gets really interesting. Carbon-14 is unstable, so it wants to convert back to its original state of nitrogen ASAP. So once an animal dies, that carbon-14 starts to go away, and it's pretty specific. On average, every 5,700 years, half of the carbon-14 will decay back into nitrogen. That's half-life. But the amount of carbon-12 in a living organism will always stay the same. See where we're going with this? By measuring the ratio of these two carbons, we can determine how many thousands of years have passed since a living organism died. That's up to about 60,000 years. For older specimens, scientists have other unstable elements that have much longer half-lives, like potassium-40, another radioactive element naturally found in our bodies. That has a half-life of 1.3 billion years. However, radioisotope dating might not work so well in the future. These levels fluctuate, and anything that sort of dies after the 1940s, when nuclear reactors and open-air nuclear tests started changing that background noise, will be harder to date precisely. And now, you're Science Smart. Thanks for your question. If you have one, send me a tweet and I'll try to get it answered.
All right, we've just finished Thanksgiving. Halloween is around the corner, and soon we're going to be fully into the holiday season. It's coming so fast. Now, with social gatherings returning to our day-to-day, just how can we stay healthy, and what good party choices can we create for our guests this year? Well, joining us now is Rachelle Duckworth. She's a nutrition consultant with Choices Markets. Rachelle, hello there.
Hi, it's so nice to see you, Gloria. How are you doing?
I am doing really well, and it is kind of bizarre that we are coming up to holiday season soon. So what's a good tactic, to sort of think before we even go out? Something we can eat so we can feel full a little bit longer and not just stand by the snack table and keep snacking.
That's a really good point, Gloria. I would really recommend before you go out to a holiday party, make sure that you don't skip any meals and have some healthy snacks that contain some sort of fiber and some sort of protein. That way, we don't deprive ourselves up until the party and we are feeling nice and full for longer. And then when we get there, we can just have a couple fun snacks.
Okay, you're not just cleaning off the cheese tray before anybody else gets to come to the party. So what have you got there in front of you? You got some ideas for us?
Yes, I do. I have 3 different ideas that I made the other day. So the very first one, this one's really fun. It's a take on a vegetarian meatball. So it's made out of lentils, it's made out of walnuts and mushrooms. That's kind of the base of it. So it's really easy to make as well. All you have to do is stir fry your onion, garlic, get the kale in there, some cranberries, the lentils, and then you mash it all together into like a dough. Add in some oat flour, make little balls, pop them in the oven, and it's good to go in about 30 minutes.
That's lovely. Can you bring that one a little bit closer? I'd like to take a closer look at it. It's hard to sort of see.
So this one has lots of different texture, full of different spices as well. And the great thing about these ones is they're high in plant-based protein. And with plant-based protein, you get that combination of fiber and protein that helps with that satiation factor. And then another really fun thing is you can add in some fun dips. So whatever you like on the side, things like cranberry sauce, some honey Dijon mustard, it makes it really fun.
Okay, some hummus or something even like that could work on there to dip it into as well. And what else have you got there for us?
Yeah, so the second thing, this one is for whoever just wants something really quick and fast. So these ones are actually a savory take on dates. So typically they stuff them with peanut butter, but this time we have cashew cheese, we have some crushed pistachios on top, and it's really fun. This one is both gluten-free and dairy-free, so it's very allergen-friendly, and we just use these spread-em dips. So this one right here, it is a chives and garlic, and it's made out of cashews.
So you will just take the cashew spread that you've got there, slice open a date. Did you say a date? And then just stuff it.
Yeah.
Does it go in the oven? Do you serve it cold?
You serve it cold. It's that easy. So you just cut open that date, stuff it with the cashew cheese, chop up some pistachios, and sprinkle them on top.
That is a lovely idea, and I'm really crazy about pistachios this season as well. And what else have you got there?
Yes, this very last one. This one's fun for everybody. It's a dark chocolate bark. So the great thing about this one is we really elevated the nutrient profile of this. We added in chia seeds, hemp seeds, toasted pumpkin seeds, and then some dried fruits, some dark cherries and ginger. This one is nut-free, except for the coconut. You can just take that off if you're allergic. But the nice thing is you get a nice crunch, but you also get that extra serving of omega-3s as well as some protein, which really help with that satiation factor.
I see. So do you use regular chocolate, like chocolate chips or something, and melt them down and just sprinkle those on top and let it harden and then break up the bark? That's how it works?
Just as easy as what you said, yes. So you can either microwave the dark chocolate, so they're just dark chocolate chips, throw them in a bowl, microwave them, or put it over the stove, melt them, and then you just fold in all the seeds, throw in the dried fruit, and then place it on some parchment paper on a pan, and then just stick it into like a fridge or a freezer, let it set, and it's easy to go.
Oh, and you almost make it sound like it's good for you too, even though it's chocolate with all those ingredients too. I love it. Now, what's a good approach if you want to still, enjoy some of the indulgences of the season, but you still want to eat healthy?
Definitely. That's a great question, Gloria. So what I really like to promote is just making sure that we focus on building a balanced plate. So focusing on half of our plate, having vegetables and fruits, a quarter of it having a good starch or carbohydrate, and then the other quarter being protein. So if we focus on that balanced model and then just have little indulgences like this dark chocolate here, I think that's the best way to approach the holiday season.
Okay, well, Rachelle, I am going to channel your philosophy as I approach those holiday gatherings this year as well. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great. You can actually find all of these recipes if you're thinking about making them this holiday season on choicesmarkets.com. And you can also buy all of these ingredients just at our stores. We also have nutrition consultants and myself, the dietitian at the Kitsilano location. If you have any questions about any diet or nutrition things about eating in the holidays.
Good to know. Thank you. If you want to go and see some live music, here's a new wave blast from the past. Gary Newman continues to tour. He's on stage at the Commodore October 18th. And local indie rockers Yukon Blonde play the Hollywood Theatre October 23rd.
Hey, I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music, and as we all know, the last year and a half plus has been pretty much an emotional wipeout for a lot of us, and that's when music can be a true elixir, a much-needed break, an escape, a lift, and that is especially true with the song I'd like to introduce you to today. It is literally called Feel Better. It's by a fantastic Toronto singer-songwriter named Devin. I'll get to that song in a minute, but first, who is Devin? Take a look.
Maybe you don't know me anymore. Crazy that you think I'm waiting for you. I changed your tune. You're the one who said embrace it till you saw me change it without you.
That is Devin with her song Without You. Devin Glover was raised in London, Ontario, and has lived in Toronto at various times in her life, including during the pandemic. You might also know Devin from her rootsy indie folk rock Americana band Wild Rivers, a very hard-working, internationally touring group. The good news is they're already back on the road after the shutdown in the States, and lots of their shows are sold out. Here's Wild Rivers with I Won't Be Back.
You're a cold wind burning body shaking till I wanted you to take it back. You're a siren, I'm a wreck. I ain't drowning on this ship, I won't be back. I won't be back. I won't be back.
That's Wild Rivers from Toronto featuring Devon Glover on vocals. On October 15th, Devon releases her own EP. It's called Liquid Sunshine. Now, growing up, whenever Devon complained about the rain, her dad would always say, "It's just a little liquid sunshine." And she would roll her eyes, but years later, she realized that it showed her the importance of perspective, which emerged as a huge theme for her while writing music during the pandemic. And speaking of, here is the song that we all need right now.
Raining in your head, you used to call it liquid sunshine. Stuck inside your shadow now that you don't see the bright side. If we turn the tables round, you tell me I'll be alright. And it's just a matter of time, but I know you've been feeling like you'll never feel right. But I just wanna make you feel better, even though I know that there's nothing to say. You don't have to hold it together. Ride it out beside you like we're catching a wave.
That is Devon with her new single, Feel Better, which is currently climbing the CBC Music Top 20. It's a tune about mental health challenges and Devon's way of saying, "I'm here for you, even if I can't fix this." Feel Better by Devon is the song that you need to add to your very own positive mental health playlist for this week. I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music. Feel better, and I'll check in with you again soon.
Coming up, using science fiction to discuss Canada's difficult and painful history. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Have you gone back to the cinema yet? The sci-fi film Night Raiders aims to draw on Canada's dark colonial past through a story set in the future. Eli Glasner tells us more.
Only past necessities.
In a forest outside Toronto, Cree warriors prepare to flee from government forces hunting children.
Soldiers! Soldiers on the perimeter!
It's fall, years before the pandemic, before discoveries at residential school sites reminded us of what was buried in Canada's past. We're on the set of the movie Night Raiders by Cree Métis director Danis Goulet. Set in the year 2043, the story takes place in a shattered nation.
Who lives here? The city went dark after the war.
Where the state rips children from their families, forcing them into school.
No one can see your face.
Goulet says the sci-fi approach gives her more freedom.
It liberates you as a storyteller to come at things that you want to say. You can be as political as you want, and because you're in a totally fictional universe, you can say whatever you want to say.
And in this near future scenario, the Cree warriors, the Night Raiders, are fighting back. The film is part of something exciting happening with Indigenous movies.
Ain't nobody immune here but us.
Take the zombie thriller Blood Quantum. Or Slashback, an alien invasion movie shot recently in Nunavut.
We're on the precipice of a golden age of Indigenous cinema. These stories are really just starting to get, really massive platforms like our film is. And there's so many stories to be told.
Even on this wet, dreary day, you can see how the past and future collide as the teepee does double duty as a video village. Although the story is science fiction, the trauma it unearths is real. so they tread carefully.
It involves, approaching things with a lot of sensitivity. So we do smudging on set. We do many things to keep our actors safe because we know they're bringing their lived experience to the set.
Fast forward to a month ago, the soggy shoot days replaced with red carpet glamour as the Night Raiders arrive at this year's Toronto International Film Festival.
It feels amazing that we have the Night Raiders as our heroes.
I think there's a warrior in all of us.
How are you feeling right now? You look a little...
So ecstatic, I'm so excited right now.
The morning after the premiere, the director is still buzzing.
It was amazing. It was the first time that I'd actually seen it big with an audience, so I was just hanging off of everything in the movie.
But Goulet says they almost didn't get the green light because some broadcasters said what happened wasn't relevant.
We got notes back saying that it was a propulsive story with great characters, but they felt that the residential school allegory didn't work because as a country we'd moved on from that.
But that changed over the summer.
The BC First Nation announces a horrific discovery: the remains of 215 children who attended a residential school.
We really haven't grappled with the full truth of what's happening, and I think this summer has been a testament to that with what we've been finding out in the news about the graves of children. So we've got a long way to go.
The heart of Night Raiders is about a mom fighting for her daughter. Both actors playing those pivotal roles have felt the ripple effects of residential schools. For Brooklyn Letexier Hart, it was her grandmother.
When I got to the age about 11, 12, she started talking more about the trauma she went through.
For Elmaya Tailfeathers, her grandfather.
I know that he ran away from school too many times to count, and that it was a really hard experience for him.
As Night Raiders finally opens in theaters, for them it isn't about the pain of the past, but the resilience to move forward.
I know that it was our culture and our ancestors and the strength of who we are as a people that kept us alive and got us through those violent systems. And so, Night Raiders is an allegory. It's a physical representation of that strength.
Touch our hearts and give our allegiance.
A vision of the future with a message for the present. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Hi, my name is Noble. This is our Vancouver.
Are you ready for this? We're going to turn up the cuteness factor for this next story. Teachers at an elementary school in BC are seeing double, often. This school year, their small school has an unusually high number of twins. And as Brady Strachan reports, they are the talk of the town.
And the bad thing is we fight a lot. Not a lot. We fight sometimes.
Despite the odd quarrel, Logan and Aurora Dawson are inseparable. They share a grade 1 class at Parkview Elementary in Sicamous. And as twins, they know an awful lot about each other.
And I know what kind of food he does not like. He hates squash and pumpkin.
Logan and Aurora are one of 6 sets of twins at the school, of only 205 kids.
It seems like an anomaly. In my 25 plus years of education, I've never seen this.
The twins factor is the talk of the town. Worldwide, 1 in 42 children are born as a twin, and Parkview is bucking the trend.
That's Dawn on Dustin. I can speak for myself.
The identical twins at Parkview say one of the worst aspects of having a twin brother is their friends mixing them up.
And I come in from recess and he says I'm Dustin, but I'm like, no, I'm not.
How does that make you feel?
Like he just doesn't really care anymore.
Cody and Levi Clark in grade 6 can relate. What's the worst thing about having a identical twin brother?
Having to look as ugly as him. Yeah, same as him. I don't like looking like him.
There are a lot of benefits, though. For Kate Osmondson in grade 4, it's her unique bond with her twin sister, Reese.
She's like a best friend, and she's very special to me. And if anything goes wrong, she always has my back.
Macy Lane knows how to cheer her brother Max up when he's feeling down.
Sometimes if I have chocolate, I give him a piece.
I like about being twins that I always have somebody to look out for.
And Emily Presley is always on her brother Nathan's side, even if they do fight sometimes. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Sicamous, British Columbia.
Coming up, a tribute to a White Rock restaurant owner who was a mentor to many young people getting into the business. Hello and welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, a White Rock icon has passed away after a battle with COVID-19. As Joel Ballard reports, he leaves a lasting legacy on those who knew him and his entire community.
Since 1985, this White Rock restaurant has been a local favorite.
Charlie Don't Surf is one of the anchor points of Marine Drive.
Created by local restaurateur John Carroll. On Thursday, John passed away after a hard-fought battle with COVID-19.
White Rock's lost one of our business leaders, someone who's run a very successful business and a very popular business down on the waterfront.
But even greater was John's impact on those he worked with, who described him as a sassy, hard-working man. It's unclear whether he was vaccinated or not. John's staff, Nixon says, are heartbroken.
I hope that they can find some comfort knowing that what John taught them is still with them, and we were also very, very lucky he was a part of our community.
Many of his staff and colleagues were still too shaken to speak on camera, but in a statement, his general manager said, John was someone who always spoke up for what was right, be it supporting community initiatives, fundraisers, or his staff when they chose to take on issues in the community. He looked out for us, his neighbors, and his community. He truly was a pillar of the community for over 35 years. A Facebook post about his passing has amassed more than 100 comments about John from his community, many describing him as a local legend. One former staff member told the CBC, John was the biggest ray of sunshine. He was also one of the most generous souls you could know. On Saturday, 2 days after his passing, patrons lined up outside of his restaurant, a source of light on a gloomy fall afternoon. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
Joel, thank you so much for that story. Now, taking a train through the Rocky Mountains is a real treat. The privately owned Rocky Mountaineer has been offering a tourist train since 1990. So let's look back to its first year of operation.
Last January, the last Canadian pulled into Calgary on its way to Vancouver. At the time, the future of passenger rail service through the Rocky Mountains was in doubt. But that changed a few months later when a Vancouver-based company bought the Rocky Mountaineer, a train designed solely for tourists. The Mountaineer started running last May and today is on its way to Calgary for the final time this year. It's been a wild first year for the Mountaineer. The train had to deal with floods, washed out tracks, and equipment breakdowns. Despite that, 15,000 people rode the Mountaineer this season. There was room for another 5,000, but the company was fighting two rumors that hurt business.
A lot of people heard about us, and the first thing that they heard was that it was such a successful operation that, in fact, we were full. And that may have kept some people from giving us a call, even though they really wanted to travel by train through the Rocky Mountains. The other interesting rumor that we encountered a number of times was that we turned around and went do a lot of our marketing down into the United States or into Australia, and an awful lot of people throughout our country, and those countries in particular, had heard that there was no longer rail passenger service in Canada.
During the off-season, the company will be spending money fixing up the coaches in hopes of adding another round trip per week. They will also be spending more money trying to dispel the rumor that there are no passenger trains running through the Rocky Mountains. And if they're successful, they hope that other rumor, that there are no seats available, will come true. Bruce Leslie, CBC News, Calgary.
Hey CBC, I'm Connor Stephen.
And I'm Bobby.
I'm James Barker.
I'm Taylor Abram.
Of the James Barker Band, and this is
Jam or not a jam?
Jam or not a jam?
To jam or not to jam?
Clean game.
Oh, jam. Fire.
Oh. Little Nas or is this
Lil Nas.
9 Inch Nails?
No, it's Lil Nas.
I know. We know who
Is
it
it
is.
with the
He's just
bar?
topping
it's
all the
just
charts everywhere. Like
breaking records and setting new boundaries.
It's a bit of a polarizing track, obviously, and I remember I heard it like the first time, but it is pretty catchy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's a pretty catchy little thing. It is a jam. I would say if we have to put like definitive answer on it, jam.
Yeah, Strawberry.
It's like Taylor actually really likes this song.
I
We've
love
talked
this
about
song. Oh, wait till you get Taylor's
definitely
answer
jam.
on this,
Taylor
because
will
Taylor
get this
gets
one right away.
Taylor gets confused on this song. Remember his whole thing that everything actually isn't ironic, and we're like, what do you?
Oh yeah,
what do you-
he'll give a big spiel about it.
It's a jam.
This is like hardcore jam. And I've discussed whether the song is actually ironic because like the things she talks about.
I remember you said this.
Yeah.
You're like, it's not really ironic any of the things it's bad. The first, it's like rain on your wedding day, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, but that's an actual thing, as they say, like, rain on your wedding day means that you're going to last, like, your marriage is going to last. Like,
Right.
that's like a thing that they say, and that's why it's
Right.
ironic, because it sucks, but it's good.
Oh. Either way, it's a jam.
Oh, smash. Jam. Oh yeah.
Man's a banger.
Yeah, man said it's a banger.
I licky bum bum down.
I don't know the song. He knows all these
I don't
songs.
know, like
What is it?
Informer. I don't know what the title is called and stuff.
It's very jammy,
Yeah.
though. I would say that one's a jam.
And it's also the type of song where you know nothing except for the Informer. A licky bum bum down. Or whatever it is.
Oh, jam!
No!
Are you kidding me? This is like the #1 jam of the James Barker band.
Uber jam.
Ciao! Cause that's the way we greet ya.
Pick up the phone and call us. Pick up the phone
It's
and
not,
call
there's
us
no
now.
violence in this song. The pizza no. Is this the bridge here? Is this V2?
What is it, Dominic?
Dominic Venucci?
I'm Dominic Venucci.
I'm Dominic Venucci. Is he of Pizza Nuva?
Oh, Donovan.
Yeah. Oh, Donnie.
Soothing and not to pump his tires, but like perfect about his guitar playing.
Yeah, he's really crazy because we've written with him before, obviously. And he's like, it's so funny when you do that because Donovan's like the funniest dude in the world. And that song's so sad. She's like, who hurt you?
Jam for sure. Sure, like.
Jam.
Everything he puts out's a jam.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I gotta go do something.
It's not Biggie, is it? No. Is this? It's Biggie?
Street cred.
Oh! You know what it is.
Biggie Smalls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jam. Absolutely. I listened to a ton of Biggie Smalls when I was in high school. Grade 11, grade 12.
Yeah, and Tupac. Because like that's everyone
But
really.
I was always team Biggie.
It's a jam. It's a jam.
Yeah,
I like
it's good.
I don't know that song either. I'm apparently the least gangster of the group. Could you tell?
That's good.
Jam.
Biggie's good.
Certified jam. We didn't unjam one song.
All right,
We don't have a single unjammed song.
Yeah.
No unjams.
Yes.
Not a jam.
Slow jams.
The door jams. Pearl jam. There was no Pearl jam. That would have been clever though, because you could have said it wasn't a jam, but it was Pearl jam, so it was a jam. Double jam.
When we bring you stories here at CBC Vancouver, we have award-winning photographers out capturing the images that say so much. Still images add context and bring a lot more to the understanding of an event or an issue. Here are some of the latest from what was happening this past week. And that's all for our Vancouver for this week. I hope you can join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. For now, goodbye, have a great week.